Any member of the public wishing to speak on the budget here in town hall? Most of you are department heads, I assume not. Any other member of the public joining us via Webex that would like to speak on the municipal operating budget 21-139? Seeing no member of the public stepping forward, I move to close the public portion and adopt.
Second.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hybel.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolution 21-139. Our next item on tonight's agenda, we have introduction of ordinance 2021-3311. An ordinance establishing section 137-24 as sec, entitled permitting the managed care of free robocat to the code of the Township of Middletown.
Move to introduce.
Second.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hybel.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to pass this ordinance on first reading with public hearing to be held June 21st, 2021. At this time, I'd like to ask the Township Committee to adopt a consent agenda, including resolutions 6, and moving 7 for a separate vote, 8 through 15, including no raffle applications.
Motion to approve.
Second. I removed 155.
155, 156.
Yeah, I didn't include that.
Thank you.
So just for clarification, this consent agenda will include items 6 and then 8 through 15. Motion.
Kevin did it before.
Okay, Kevin, second.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hybel.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt consent agenda. This time we have resolution 21-155, a resolution authorizing fireworks display for Beacon Hill Country Club for 7/1/2020.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hybel.
Recuse.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolution 21-155 with resolution. At this time, we have resolution 21-157, a resolution authorizing fireworks display for the Riverview Foundation on July 3rd, 2020.
Make a motion. Second.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hybel.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Recuse.
Motion carries to pass resolution 21-157. Is all noted. This time, we have the Township Committee acting as the ABC issuing authority. We have resolution 21-165, authorizing place-to-place liquor license transfer for plenary retail consumption license 1331-33-014.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Committeeman Sedambrino.
Yes.
Committeewoman Snell.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hybel.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to adopt resolution 21-165. For discussion items tonight, we have the Green Acres Stewardship Grant, Forestry Park Watershed, and Blue River.
Janet?
Good evening, everyone. Through the Green Acres Local Government Stewardship Program, the NJTEP supports stewardship activities by local governments on lands held for public recreation and conservation purposes. For this program, I'm proposing the township apply for a project to improve the access to the Horsey Park watershed. So for this, many of the watershed areas down at Horsey Park, both at Horsey Park and also the fossil bed, which is just below Nut Swamp, a lot of them are boardwalks that go over streams. There's bridges, there's marsh platforms, and there's literally a dock that goes out into Horsey Pond. And unfortunately, over time, plus due to weather, a lot of these things are not in the greatest shape. And through this grant opportunity, it will allow us to apply for the program to perhaps get these things replaced at limited cost to the township. If awarded, the program will provide a 50% match of the funds required. The minimum award allowed is $50,000. So if awarded, I would seek an additional $50,000 of township capital to fund the project fully. The public hearing for this grant application will be held at the next township committee meeting on June 21st. But if I have any questions or any concerns,
Any questions for Jen?
Do you have a budget for the project?
I'm working on it. We met last week with a contractor to give us an estimate. We took a large walk through the woods.
Very good, thank you.
One weird thing about this one is that normally the township committee doesn't have to hold a public hearing for Green Acres grants. We usually do it kind of administratively at the staff level. But this one particularly said that we required the governing body to hold a public hearing.
And these are predominantly for walkways, docks, things like that.
Yes, it's all one work.
No floating docks.
There is one floating dock, yes,
Over the pond?
over the pond. Over such a large word, small section of it.
Yeah.
not all of it.
Yeah.
And by the time we talk about it next, we'll have a budget to review.
Yes, absolutely. I'll have it before then. I'm just working on the numbers. The other thing that will include that too is any kind of permitting process that we have to.
Okay. Any questions for Jen? All right, thank you, Janet. All right, next up, Safe Routes to School Harvard Avenue Project, Ted.
This is the Safe Routes to School for Hubbard Avenue that we were awarded last year. It's a DOT administered and awarded grant, but it does include federal funds. So there are a set of procedures for inspections and design that are required by the federal DOT. So we worked on these. They have to be specific to Middletown. We edited them. And they're being reviewed by our technical assistants, but we have to do a resolution. The committee has to do a resolution to approve these before we can go ahead and go any further. So next meeting, possibly we'll have the resolution ready.
Okay, great. Thank you. Any questions for Ted? All right, thanks, Ted. All right,
We have the Green Acres Stewardship Grant application.
that's it's the same as number 17. Yeah. Okay. Township committee comments. Committeeman Senabrino. Sorry, Heidi, I'm kind of hijacking here.
I have nothing this evening, Mayor, thank you.
All right, Committeewoman Snell.
Thank you, Mayor. I have a couple things. I attended the grand reopening of the Monmouth Museum out at Brookdale. And it was really interesting. They're focusing on STEM for the kids, and they're creating a wonderful space exhibit that looks pretty cool. So I would pass that word around if anybody has any kids. It looks really neat. It was nice to get in the Memorial Day parade and see faces instead of masks. The walk was fun, and I think everybody really appreciated everybody coming out. And Janet, thank you for everything you did for that. Thirdly, I attended a wreath laying dedication at the Cedar View Cemetery on Hurley's Lane in Lincroft. The 2-acre historic site, New Jersey Cemetery for African-American Civil War and World War I soldiers. Had an interesting history to it. A man named James Crawford, who was a wealthy farmer and a past slave owner, actually sold 2 acres to 14 black men back in 1850 to be used as a burial ground. The reasoning behind that was because if they were landowners, they couldn't be sold as slaves. So I thought that was pretty cool. St. Leo's Parish and the surrounding community are trying to connect local families with some of their ancestors that quite possibly are buried there. There's even children buried there. So it's an interesting place to go. I've lived here for a long time and I never even knew it was there, but they cleared it out. And it was really interesting to hear about it. Finally, lawn signs for the 9/11. They're in and we are distributing them at the MAC this coming Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for people that have ordered them from 12 to 3. what we're going to do is we're going to set up right in front of the parking lot along the wall of the MAC and start handing them out to everyone that's ordered them. We also have additional signs for people that didn't have an opportunity yet to purchase. They can come and purchase them. Emails will be going out to all that purchased, and it's been on Middletown Minutes. I've had it on Facebook, so that should go over quite well. And I think once they get out, we're going to even have more people asking for them. So we do have enough to hand out, and we can get more if we need them. So that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Committeewoman Snell. Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Pat. Those events were great. The cemetery was, the musket shooting was awesome.
Yep.
I'm going to be very brief here, but I just wanted to thank Colleen and all of our department heads in the budget, getting that through and getting it, doing a great job. I appreciate that. I want to give a special shout out to Ryan O'Toole. I attended his Eagle Scout ceremony yesterday. Great event. It's the first time they had it in person in a while. A lot of people moved through the ranks in the Scouts. Brian Clark was also there, and he had wore his actual scout belt. I don't know why he's not here. I would have liked to see him. He squeezed into that, but he was really good. So Ryan, what he did, and I was just talking to our board members here for being here. Thank you. He worked in he built something for the kids with some disabilities to increase the motor skills. So he for Lincroft, Bayview, Harmony, and Village School, he made these tables, basically a Lego type of thing to increase their fine motor skills. So awesome job, great job, family, and that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I want to echo the comments of Deputy Mayor Hybel, and I know I can speak for everybody up here on the dais in thanking Colleen Lapp and our department heads for the 2021 budget. We find ourselves in difficult times, in times where every penny counts, and the people of this town rely on us to continue to look through the lens of the taxpayer in every single thing that we do, and in ensuring that there are folks that are still out of work. There are folks that are still struggling due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And when we are able to deliver a budget that is this responsible, that continues to invest in our first responders, that continues to invest in our infrastructure, in our parks, these are things these are the things that make this town great. These are the things that people look for when they move to a municipality, is a town that, despite a pandemic that affected every inch of this world, and we are able to deliver not only a flat budget, but one that slightly reduces the overall tax burden, is something to be incredibly proud of. So I want to thank Colleen, Tony, Jim, and all of our department heads that work tirelessly in delivering that type of budget in this type of a climate. So thank you all very much. The one item that we voted on tonight was a resolution with regards to continuing to have our students wear masks in the classrooms. We are all sitting in here today, and I love to see all your smiling faces. And during the Memorial Day parade, the one thing that I kept repeating was seeing everyone outdoors smiling and enjoying themselves. Because over the last 15 months, we really haven't had too much to enjoy, too much to gather around. And it took a real team effort to get that up and running. So Janet, thank you for spearheading that initiative and getting the parade back to every department, from Ted and Craig Weber, and those that really stepped up. John Friedman, our chief of the fire department, in getting this back for our community was really important. And you could see it in the faces of the people that joined us. So the Memorial Day parade is one, this year's Memorial Day parade is one that I won't soon forget, purely for that reason. But the resolution that we voted on tonight urges the governor to repeal Executive Order number 175. And that is requiring children in our classrooms to wear masks. Despite, I know, our Board of Education's constant attention to prioritizing the wellness of our children. If you can walk onto a wrestling mat and wrestle another kid, but you have to wear a mask while learning chemistry, that's not science, that's political science. If I can go into a restaurant and order a meal and stand up and go to the bathroom or greet someone else and not have to wear a mask, but a student still does in homeroom, there's a problem with that. I'm tired of the political science. I'm willing to debate the science of anything with you at any time. I don't pretend to know everything, but I know one thing, is that I'm tired of our kids being the pawns for political science. So the governor did provide some leeway today for temperatures, for superintendents to be able to remove the masks from the classrooms, given the high temperatures that we're supposed to expect this week and into the final weeks of the school year. And I encourage Mary Ellen Walker, our superintendent, to take that action and utilize her authority. And if she doesn't, I hope that the Board of Education will act in the same manner in which almost all the board members wrote to the governor expressing their desire for him to lift Executive Order number 175. Finally, tomorrow is primary day. Get out and vote. Don't pretend that this day doesn't matter. Some of you will have a choice of election for governor. Some of you have one candidate, and that's the current governor. But get out and vote. I don't care who you vote for, just go do it. Please, it's your civic duty. With that being said, I'll open it up for public comment. Any member of the public wishing to make a public comment can do so. I'll start off with those visiting us here in Town Hall tonight. We ask that you state your name and address for the record. We ask that you keep your comments to 5 minutes. After 4 minutes, I'll let you know that you have 1 minute left. After those are done here in Town Hall, I'll move over to those joining us via Webex. With that being said, any member of the public wishing to make a public comment? Seeing no member of the public stepping forward here in Town Hall, I will move over to Webex. Mr. Watson, yes, sir. You're unmuted now, Don. Don?
He's on mute again, isn't he?
No. Don, can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay, we got you now.
You got me now?
Yes, sir.
Oh, look at that. All right. Hi, my name's Don Watson. I live at 1 Collinson Drive in New Monmouth. And I was just wondering, you know, where the town is paving Main Street over in Port Monmouth. And I was wondering, there's a section of Main Street that was skipped over by Crystal Pond. Is there any reason why that was skipped over? Can anybody explain that to me and the public?
Ted, you want to talk about it? I'm going to have Ted walk up to the microphone, okay, Don?
No, he didn't need the microphone before. Go ahead, Ted.
Don, yeah, that work's being done by the gas company. It's not being done by the township. So they only have to do within the areas they disturbed. So what we usually do is we try to add those areas into our capital program to fill those gaps. So hopefully we have a lot of areas in the town for that. So hopefully that's the plan.
So what you just said was that the gas company is working there? I
believe
can't
so.
hear you very well because you're breaking up.
Can you hear me? I don't know if it's connected or not. Don, can you hear me now?
I hear you, but you're breaking up.
I'll repeat it, Ted, if you want. So Don, the New Jersey Natural Gas it was the one that disturbed the roadway originally. So they're responsible from doing the curb to curb replacement of the disturbed right of way. So that's why, you know, in some areas, and that's why the Township Committee 3 years ago, or 2.5 years ago, passed an ordinance that further extended the requirement of any utility company that disturbs a certain piece of land, if it's within a certain amount of linear feet. I believe it's 200 linear feet.
Yes, I understand all of that. I was just wondering why it wasn't being completed yet. Because the whole rest of the road, I would think it would be all done in conjunction together, so we have a complete road.
Ted, can you find out from New Jersey Natural Gas why they haven't completed the whole thing?
Well, I believe
Certain area.
What?
It's not disturbed, so we have to pay for it to get it done.
What did he say?
The gas was completed their portion of it. The rest is
Okay.
areas we'll have to go back and do ourselves.
The New Jersey Natural Gas has completed their portion, so the township would have to go back and examine replacing that portion that you're referring to.
Okay, and when is that going to take place?
We're discussing the capital and the replacement of certain roadways in the next week or so.
Well, we already appropriated to pave that whole road from Geary Drive to the highway.
We did it, Don. That was done through the gas company.
Who's talking now?
Oh,
It's
sorry.
Deputy Mayor Hybel.
What are you saying, Rick?
I thought you were talking about me again. So the section that wasn't completed was because of the gas company didn't disturb that particular area, but we try to negotiate with them to try to get that area done. So there's not a void in the road. Sometimes Ted is successful in doing so, and sometimes he's not. And we try to get the road completed so we don't have these breaks in the road. It's very annoying not to complete it.
Indeed.
But Don, I'm on the same page with you 100%.
You're on what?
I'm on your same page. It's important to get it done, but sometimes they're not willing to cooperate. To add footage on the paving job.
You're breaking up just as good as Ted does. But I think I got the gist of the situation. So you got to chase Jersey's, the natural gas company down, correct?
Yes.
There you go. I think that's about all I got for right now. Thank you for your time.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Don. Have a good
bet.
day, okay?
You bet. Have a good night too.
You too. I can't really see Heidi, so go ahead.
Would you like to make a comment?
Good evening, council. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
This is Edward Lefty Grimes. I'm with sativacross.org. We're a 501c3 in New Jersey advocating for disabled rights and cannabis patients' rights. I got a couple of questions. Are you in discussion for any kind of medical cannabis ban? Is that happening or?
Is what happening?
Is there a medical cannabis ban being discussed? Any kind of
No.
cannabis ban?
We are not discussing medical cannabis, no.
Okay. My second question is, are you considering going to back to in-person meetings totally without any Webex or Zoom features?
No.
Okay, because this is important, and this is why. For years, disabled people have been asking for things like school online and church online, council meetings online, work online. And for the last 14 months, we got that. We got all that. Disabled people were finally able to take part thanks to healthy people. And we did this all for healthy people. And a lot of towns are going back to the in-person meetings, and disabled people, homebound people, are not able to take part anymore. And I think it's important that they can take part. After all, we did this all for healthy people last year. We need to take care of disabled people. With 24 hours notice, you can get hearing impaired people access, visually impaired people. So at least if somebody's physically disabled, somebody's home, they can take part. And it's very important that they continue to take part. My friend Jeff Oakes took part literally from his dad. He couldn't come out to these meetings at the end, but he took part from his, literally, he even told the council that. And it was just, and I want to hear from people that are sick and dying and people that are homebound. Those are the people that I support, and I want to help them. And I want you to help them also. And I appreciate you're not banning medical cannabis. That's very important. And I'll end with this. I end every council meeting with this. This is dedicated to our friend Jeff. They went with songs to the battle. They were young, straight of limb, true of eye, steady and aglow. They were staunch to the end against odds uncounted. They fell with their faces to the foe. They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them. Thank you, Council.
Thank you.
Would you like to make a comment?
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Yes, go ahead, sir.
Yes, my name is Hugh Giordano, and I am a union representative for the United Food and Commercial Workers Union, UFCW. The United Food and Commercial Workers Union is a national labor union of 1.3 million hardworking families across the US and Canada and territories. And we are the official labor union which represents cannabis workers from seed to sale, both medical and adult use, under the guise of the AFL-CIO. We are also working with the New Jersey building trades who are doing the retrofit and the build out of all the facilities, whether it's cultivation or dispensing or laboratory. So these cannabis jobs coming forward are going to be from shovel to sale are going to be union jobs. As in being the labor union, which represents the actual workers, the cannabis workers from seed to sale, we would ask that if any ordinance gets proposed, we're happy that you're not going to ban medical, but we would hope that you consider adult use as well. The city of Bayonne passed a great ordinance about 7 or 8 weeks ago in a way that lays out application fees, renewal fees. But the city of Bayonne did one more thing better. They took control of their city. The state has given towns, cities, and boroughs the opportunity to set up a program of allowing who they want in to their city, town, or borough, but also what they want in. So you can pick and choose what parts of the industry you want and which you don't. They did a merit-based application system, which means that an employer has to earn their right to come in to the township. So they look at environmental standards, community standards, local ownership standards, and also labor standards, especially for these big companies that have multiple locations around the country. If they're not treating their workers right in Colorado, they're not going to treat their workers right here in New Jersey. And your citizens deserve to know that they're going to have good wages and benefits. So in saying that, I would ask you to please consider the full access to this cannabis industry because of the good jobs it creates with healthcare, retirement, sick time, vacation time, and it just creates careers and attracts young, intelligent folks who have degrees in horticulture, botany, and chemistry. And to please look at the city of Bayonne. And if you want a tour of a dispensary, I can give you a tour of the Garden State Dispensary in Woodbridge, which is a vertically integrated facility from seed to sale. So it's one of the original 6 from under the Chris Christie administration. So they've been around really a long time. It was the first to go union out of the original 6, and they're very transparent. So if you like a tour of Garden State Dispensary in Woodbridge, I'd be happy to give you a tour of that unionized facility. Again, thank you so much, and I appreciate your support. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Would you like to make a comment?
I would. Good evening. My name is Jamie Van Skyver. Excuse me. I'm from Paulsboro, New Jersey, and I also am with Sativa Cross nonprofit. Like to thank you for not, considering a ban on medical. I would love to encourage you to be please careful about the language that you use if you do write an ordinance banning adult use recreational. I don't know why though, 64.81% of your constituents voted that they wanted cannabis legalized. I don't think that they voted for it that way. 2/3 to want to have to travel away out of their community. I'm looking, you guys have liquor licenses, some you're renewing, you have bars, pubs, grills. I'm just kind of not understanding like why the stigma on a natural substance. Like this is adults, they can make decisions. There's other intoxicants that people are overdosing on alcohol, getting alcohol poisoning, getting in driving accidents, like literally overdosing on alcohol. And I don't understand why the hypocrisy and the stigma is still on cannabis when your constituents are voting for it.
Well,
But please, at least,
could I ask you a question then? I'm curious why Senator Brian Stack and Senator Paul Sarlo, who both voted for the legislation in Trenton and then banned it from their own towns, did what they did.
I'm having a hard time hearing.
Well, Paul Sarlo is the senator from Bergen County. He is the chairman.
I'm not
of the
having a
Senate.
hard time understanding you. I'm having a hard time hearing you. I can understand you don't have to like explain like that, but I don't know. Someone else, I believe, was maybe closer to a microphone, was easier to hear.
Okay. So my question for you is Senator Paul Sarlo of Bergen County. He is the chairman of the Senate Budget and Appropriations Committee, voted for this legislation. Why did he ban it in Woodridge, where he also serves as the mayor? Brian Stack is the senator from Hudson County. Why did he vote for it in Trenton and vote against it in his own city?
You're asking me to answer for other people?
I would just like to know your thoughts on that. Or if you know the rationale.
Would that be medical or just adult use?
It was the bill that you're referring to, the referendum.
Some municipalities are attaching medical and trying to slide it in there with the August 21st deadline. That's why it confuses me with different locations.
I'm referring to the referendum that was on the ballot this past November.
Mm-hmm.
I just have questions as to how the state of New Jersey, which has a cannabis regulatory commission, which has not set forth any type of guidelines for marijuana, zoning rules, anything. It has not released its findings. And this isn't a partisan thing, because the Democratic mayor of Clinton, who is also the president of the League of Municipalities, which is the organization that represents all 565 municipalities, begged the Cannabis Regulatory Commission for those details prior to municipalities having to make this decision. That was rebuffed. So I don't understand how, once again, the state of New Jersey is putting the onus on municipalities to make decisions on regulations that do not exist. Also, aside from
I
the fact,
agree. It's an incredible disservice being done to the entire state, and especially the medical patients that, as I said, a lot of municipalities are attaching ordinance bans of medical along with adult use for the August 21st opt-out deadline.
well, I encourage you and your organization to please go before the Cannabis Regulatory Commission at their next meeting and voice that concern. Because there is nothing up here that this governing body can just throw up in the air without regulations and an understanding of how the regs work or what they are going to look like. How close can they be to a school? How close can they be to a house of worship? How close can they be to a park? How close can they be to residential units? The four of us that are sitting up here currently don't get those decisions, nor do I get a voice in that matter.
I think as far as zoning, all the different classifications of licensing, you definitely would have control over if you wanted it in your area or not. And as far as like anything after, as far as housing and school and playgrounds or whatever, that could come down to you controlling it later down the road with zoning.
But if the regulations are not going to come out before August 21st, tell me how that's going to work. This is a backwards process. And I don't believe that the people who voted for or against this referendum had any idea, because Trenton didn't want to tell anybody what was going to be in the bill. That's what I believe. I believe this is an assault on transparency. And I think that certain people believe that the people of this state were going to vote yes, and it didn't matter what the legislation was going to say. And 62%, 64%, whatever the number is, may have voted for it. But I guarantee if a parent knew that they couldn't be notified if their child was picked up because of marijuana use or because of alcohol use or any other matter, and that a police officer could be held liably responsible for taking or telling a parent that their child did this, 64% of the state wouldn't have voted for that. We need common sense.
Do you think 64% of your municipality would vote for the liquor licenses and drugstores with the fentanyl and oxycodone and Percocet that's killing everybody, that's making your Narcan count go up? I don't remember us having votes on these pharmaceutical slings.
Well, I don't get a vote on the Senate floor either. And there's a lot of things that I think are needed, but I don't get those.
Do you feel that there should be any different contingencies with dispensaries, be it medical or retail, than there are for liquor licenses establishments in your community?
It's interesting you mentioned that, because one, there already is based on your population. The number of liquor licenses is based on your population. Number two is obviously this predates all of us sitting in this room, all of us that are talking about this. My concern comes from the fact that for years we were told, regulate this like alcohol. Regulate it like alcohol, regulate it like alcohol. And what was the exact thing Trenton didn't do? Regulate it like alcohol. Why does my chief of police not have the authority to do a background check on an individual who applies for a marijuana license? Why? Because that authority lies at the Attorney General's office, not at the local municipality. So if we want to constantly compare this to marijuana, then put it on the level playing field that marijuana is. But it wasn't done that way, because lobbying firms all up and down West State Street had their hands out saying, how can I get in on this? That's why. I understand what the place that you're coming from. I do. But from the four of us sitting up here and the 5 members that encompass this governing body are unable to make any type of decision. And that's not just Middletown. That's every single municipality is flying blind. Because once again, Trenton does something grandiose because they made a promise for it and they don't actually do the regulations. And then we're supposed to make a decision as to whether or not to allow it in our town? That's ridiculous.
Do you have a timeline as to when you're kind of deadlining introducing an ordinance?
For every municipality, August 21st is the timeline. You either do something and have the ability to allow it 6 months from now, a year from now, 4 years from now, 5 years from now, or you just allow it and you have no rights as a municipality to do anything.
But as far as introducing an ordinance, if you were to be banning, do you have any timeline as the when you may be doing that?
August 21st is the timeline. Every municipality either has to act or accept marijuana. That's the timeline.
But if you put in an ordinance, it takes time for the first reading.
We have not introduced an ordinance. It takes 2 meetings to introduce an ordinance, to hold a public hearing, and to either pass or fail on an ordinance. August 21st.
That's all I'm asking. Do you guys have a deadline that you as a councilor are saying we need to make a decision at this point to proceed to?
August 21st is the deadline. Prescribed by the signature of the governor.
So August 21st is when you're going to introduce your ordinance?
No, ma'am.
That's what I'm asking you.
August 21st is the day in which every municipality has to have completed their action for. Okay, whether they want it or they don't. Maybe they want half of the things allowed. Maybe they only want to allow cultivation. Maybe they only want to allow retail. It's up to them. But August 21st, it's not a Middletown deadline, it's a state deadline. Prescribed by the signature of the governor of this state and affixed by the signatures of both the Speaker of the General Assembly and the Senate President. That's the deadline. There is no
So then I
deadline.
should assume that if you follow rules of order, that you'd be introducing an ordinance next month if that was the position you guys were taking.
We would have to introduce an ordinance by July. But again, I doubt that any timeline, whether here or now, is going to give any of us, any municipality, the regulations for that. In no way, shape, or form. And again, I will encourage you to utilize your 501c3 nonprofit to advocate for municipalities to get it. Brick has denied the recreational sale of marijuana. And that's why I say this isn't a partisan issue. This is a procedural issue. Brick, Union City, Woodridge, all controlled by the Democratic councils. And they are banning it. Why? Mayor Ducey said it perfectly. No one has told me what's allowed and what's not. How can any of us govern? We have a responsibility, not to the political party that we run on, not to the platform that we run on, but to the people that have elected us, whether they voted for us or not. We have a duty and a responsibility to stand up for them. So whether or not that means the people of Middletown or the people of any other municipality have to wait 6 months past August, 12 months, or 5 years, I don't know what the answer is to that. But it is irresponsible for Trenton to once again pass another unfunded mandate down to the municipalities, and I'm tired of it. So please go to the Cannabis Regulatory Commission and express the viewpoint that we both share.
We've been attending, have you?
When are they? At 10 o'clock? At 10 o'clock in the morning, rather than making them accessible to working class people all across the state of New Jersey?
I agree with you, but if it's something.
Mr. Grimes brought up the fact that they should be televised, that asked us if meetings will continue to be televised. I have not seen one link that allows me to take part in the Cannabis Regulatory Commission. I haven't seen one letter from the chair of the Cannabis Regulatory Commission inviting me to speak, asking me for my opinion. People work during the day. We have the highest property taxes in the state of New Jersey. There are few people, unless you live on Navesink River Road maybe, that can afford not having dual spousal incomes. So we can't all afford to be out at 10 o'clock in the morning so that a couple of bureaucrats can hear what I have to say and then not care what I say and say, thank you very much, and write the regs anyway. I've been a part of the process. I've seen the process live. I know what happens.
I actually had meetings as well and scheduled my appointments and meetings around my lunch and extended that from the day prior, but I don't have 64.81% of my constituents looking at me for an answer. I just feel that if you're going to be making decisions that people need to be involved, please go see these dispensaries, the security, look at the property value. Maybe your taxes would go down. Patterson's getting $25,000 a month.
I don't mean to belabor this, but says who? Who says who? Maybe if, how about this? If Trenton hands me back the $6 million that I'm owed from the energy receipts tax, I'll come look at it. Because year after year, we are constantly cut in half on the energy receipts tax. And it has gotten so bad since 2004, when the state illegally seized those funds from the energy receipts tax, that now the amount of money that I'm owed since 2004 eclipses the total value of my municipal budget, the 16th largest municipality in the state of New Jersey.
I feel that's like holding your participation hostage for something else, and that's not doing any service to your constituents either.
No, it's this. I don't believe Trenton's going to give me the money that they say that they're going to give me, just like the energy receipts tax. I don't believe it. I don't believe that Trenton will give me that money. We are owed $6 million. $6 million. Colleen, how much was our budget this year? No, total, the total dollar. $80 million.
figure behind that.
which means that every 0.5% is $250,000.
Yes,
$250,000. So for 1% is $500,000.
I'm
That's
sorry,
a
you said
lot.
you would take a look at what if Trenton discussed this money with you? You would take a look at what?
I will believe what they say in terms of giving me tax revenue when they start giving me the tax revenue, the revenue that they've been stealing since 2004, since Jim McGreevey was the governor. We've
I
had
believe
6
the
governors
tax is
in
paid
between those
directly
times.
from the dispensary to the municipality. It was projected to be $10,000 a month and it's $25,000 a month, and that's Patterson, and that's just medical.
And that's just medical. Okay. I will believe it when I see it.
Please have empathy on the medical patients in your community, and people voted for this to be legalized. It's a constitutional amendment. Legal is not all of this. Legal is the supermarket, legal is the farm stand, legal is your own garden, legal is
I'm well
tomatoes.
aware. I'm well aware. But again, I will believe it when I see it. And there is a reason that 2 senators who voted yes for this bill, which passed with 21 votes, who voted for this legislation, are banning it in their town. That doesn't speak very highly. Thank you very much for your comments. Any other member of the public wishing to make a public comment? Seeing no member of the public stepping forward, move to close the public portion and adjourn.
Committeeman Center.
Yes.
Committeeman Snow.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Hybel.
Yes.
Mayor Perry.
Yes.
Motion carries to adjourn.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you.